I remember it like it was yesterday. I was in high school, I think it was my freshman year, and my friends wanted to go to the Subway after school. So we went to the old Subway sandwich spot. I had my $3 for my sandwich that I got. It was a meatball sub. And I had that meatball sub, and I liked that meatball sub. That was always my favorite sandwich that I always got after high school or on lunch break at high school. But one day, I went there, and I had my sandwich, and I got sick. And I got a nasty flu, and I felt terrible, and I didn't know what to do. And I was up all night. I was throwing up. I felt like garbage. And the interesting thing about that is that was probably about 30 years ago, maybe 24 years ago, 25 years ago. And I still, to this day, cannot eat a meatball sub. Now, what does that have to do with you, and what does that have to do with hangovers and alcohol or anything like that? Well, I found it interesting that the fact that I had that meatball sub, got sick, and never touched it again for 25 years, I thought that was interesting because isn't it different with alcohol? We could have alcohol, we can get hungover, we could feel like garbage, even worse than the worst stomach flu we've ever had, and yet we go back and we drink the next day and the next day, and we have another hangover, and we feel like crap again, and we keep drinking. So why is this alcohol thing any different? Now, for those just joining, we do have Terry on the line. We're waiting for his video to come in. Terry, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you very faint. Can you guys hear Terry?
Everything isn't working. Dang.
We can't hear you, Terry.
Can't hear me. Okay.
I mean, I hear you a little bit, but not much. Can you guys hear Terry?
Hello. Hello. Try settings.
Okay, we could have you call back in, I think. All right, so what we want to talk about here is how alcoholism and how dealing with hangovers affects our lives in a negative way. It's very important to look at because it's very interesting. How many of you guys have had like the worst hangover everywhere? Right? Is our audio working? Is my audio working? If my audio and video are working, type Marcus.
How about me? Is that better?
All right, your sound, is my audio faint as well, or is mine good? If mine's good, type Marcus in the box. Okay, so my audio's good. All right. While we're waiting for Terry, these are technical difficulties that we try to muster through. If you want to support the show here at Talk Sober, go over to TalkSober.com, click the big yellow icon. You can actually join our recovery class, which is really cool. It's $27 a month. It helps support all the work that we're doing here. You could just fill this out and get instant access. We have over 30 days of killer info, videos, and everything like that. And let me see if I can get Terry on the line. Are you there, Terry?
I am here.
Okay, I think your audio's better, but we'll see how it's going there. Is everyone able to hear Terry? Type Terry audio in the box if you can hear him.
Hello, everybody.
And for those tuning in, you can support us over at TalkSober.com. You can click on the Join Our Recovery class. There is 30 days of awesome letters. There's a letter written from me to my former self and to other alcoholics. So you can go through that. There's videos we put together, audios we put together, everything. Really, really cool. Now, I don't know if Terry's video... your video is working.
I think it is.
All right, cool. So someone must have supported the show or something. I don't know, right? Who knows? Maybe that's how it works. All right, Terry. So we were talking about the meatball sub story, about how I was 15 years old. I was in high school. I had a meatball sub, which was my favorite. I got the stomach flu, and I never touched one again. Recently, like 6 months ago, I got one from a different place, and I was still nauseous eating it. I couldn't finish it. And we were talking about how that's different with alcohol. Like, why do we always turn back to alcohol? Why is that always our go-to? Why can it abuse us and make us sick and make us feel like crap and cause legal problems in our life, give us the worst hangovers ever, and yet we still come back to it? And I remember years ago, my first really bad drunk as an adult was, I think, in 2006 or 4, something like that. Before that, my worst hangover was when I was a kid. When I was 15 or 16 years old, my parents moved us out of our house, and we were living in an apartment, which, we got to do whatever the hell we wanted, and we decided what we wanted to do was raid the old guy's liquor cabinet at my friend's house. And so we filled water bottles with vodka and all this clear alcohol so it looked like water. And back then, we didn't know how to pour drinks, so I thought, your glass had to be like mostly vodka and like a splash of Coke. And so we drank those like they were going out of style, and I was probably 85 pounds soaking wet, and I got alcohol poisoning that night. I should have probably gone to the hospital, but luckily my dad came over and took care of me. And I remember that one. And then I remember another one in 2004 when I was hungover from drinking at Thanksgiving. Champagne is probably the worst hangover you can get when you overdo it on champagne. And I remember that I woke up the day before, after, and I felt like crap, and I was like, okay, I'm going to use this to motivate myself to not drink anymore. But it didn't work, and a couple years later, I became a full-blown alcoholic, and still nothing seemed to work. So why is the meatball sub so much more powerful than the alcohol hangover? Why is that, right? And we all have stories like that. So, Terry, what are your thoughts on that? And what was it like with your worst hangover? Because I know us alcoholics live a life of hangovers, which totally sucks.
Well, I think alcohol and alcoholism has this quality of making us forget the bad times and remember the good times. And we get these positive things from it, and we enjoy those. And then we just think that that those negative consequences, like the hangover, that's whatever. It's not that bad. Half a day, maybe a full day of not feeling so good, but it was so fun last night. Things like that. But oh man, I was going through high school and college, and even a few years after that, I had plenty of hangovers. I was a partier. I went to a fraternity that had the best parties. We had a beer vending machine at where we were living. High school, we had after school kegs. I hung out with the bad crowd, the smokers and all that. And hangovers were common, definitely. And I didn't learn what I learned as in my depths of my alcoholism. I learned that you don't have to be hungover. You just keep on drinking, and that's what I did in the later years. Is I just stayed drunk.
Yeah.
And so I just my normal everyday level was just way lower because I had constant alcohol in my system. But it was the hangovers are tough, of course, but I always had this forgetter, and just it's what we did. Hangovers are part of it.
Absolutely.
I'd have a lot of friends that I'd been drinking with, and they were hungover too, so we were hungover together. And you go out and get a big old greasy breakfast, or when you wake up at noon, you go get a big greasy hamburger, and you feel a little bit better. And and then on top of that, I remember being a boss, being the head chef of restaurants and stuff, and running a kitchen, and I had to hide the fact that I was hungover because I wouldn't let my employees, go home sick if they were hungover. Say, nah, not till you're throwing up. You don't get to go home. You're hungover. You did it to yourself. So I had to suck it up and deal with it too, Mm-hmm. But it was that forgetter, and that's why I have to work a sobriety program every day, because still have that forgetter in there. That's what alcoholism does. It allows us to remember the good times and try and push down the bad times or justify them. Well, I drank too much for this reason, or I drank too much for that reason, or it's not going to be that bad this time. I have control now. and it just doesn't work that way. If you're an alcoholic, it's just going to get worse, and that's at least that's my experience with it, and that's what happened with me.
Yeah.
So,
And I
yeah,
think it's interesting too because on Monday night, I did not sleep well at all. Tossed and turned, didn't get a wink of sleep, maybe like an hour from like couple minutes every couple minutes or something like that. And I woke up and I felt like crap. I mean, I didn't want to work. I didn't want to sleep because like an idiot, I was like, "Oh yeah, coffee's going to fix this." And coffee made my mind alert, but I still felt like crap and I couldn't focus on anything. And I remember that day because I remember I turned to my wife and I was like, I didn't get any sleep. I felt like crap, but I'm glad that I don't feel like this every day anymore
yeah,
because that was the norm. And for the alcoholic, not only are the bad occasional hangovers pretty bad, but what happens is we learn to drink through them. Because the best thing to fix a hangover for the alcoholic, right? This isn't medical, but the best thing the alcoholic in his limited knowledge thinks is to drink more. And what happens is you get in this cycle and you forget what it feels like to feel normal. You forget what it feels like to feel actually good, to wake up and be like, hey, I actually feel good today. I'm not groggy. I don't feel like crap. And what happens is, as alcoholics, we get in this vicious cycle because, as Terry has mentioned many times, and I've talked about before as well, the biggest fear the alcoholic has is how are we going to make it through detox? Because detox can be deadly, and detox is like a hangover times 1,000 times like you could die from it. So if you're withdrawing, if you're cutting off alcohol, and you think you can do it alone, don't. Go to the doctor, tell them what's going on, figure it out because this stuff can be deadly. I almost died from my alcohol. Mine was because of my mindset. Terry almost died from his alcohol, and that was because of the withdrawal symptoms. And so, we look at this and we look at it as fun and cute. And some of you guys might be tuning in because you're like, oh, hey, I'm hungover. Maybe this is going to help me. But I want you to look at it because sometimes, there's drinkers who drink occasionally and get a hangover, and that's the end of it. And then there's some drinkers who are constantly getting hangovers, constantly feeling like crap, and they're in the vicious cycle of never stopping drinking. And what we don't realize is how much of an impact this has on our mindset. Okay, we need to protect our mind in a way that, one, we don't take everything seriously, and two, we protect it from outside influences. Case in point, a lot of people on this lockdown or quarantine or whatever you want to call it, right? We've been in this since May, and now we're in the end of July. And a lot of people have been stuck at home. They've been stuck on the news. They've been looking at Facebook for news, which, by the way, if you look at Facebook for news, knock it off. Facebook is not a news site. And they get sucked into it. And I've seen a lot of people fall to conspiracy theories and crazy things, and it starts to manipulate their mind. And it starts to manipulate their mind thinking they're part of some army or some force or whatever. And they go down the trails and they forget where they started from. They forget, hey, I was once a rational human being. And there have been tests of this stuff where they test people who watch the news consistently and it affects their mindset. Now, the reason I bring this up isn't to dog on conspiracy theories or mindsets or news or anything like that, although they do have their place in the rubbish bin, right? It's to show you that our minds can be taken hostage even when we think we're in control. How many times have we taken alcohol and we think we're in control? And we think, hey, I got this under wraps. Yeah, so I get a hangover, but I got it solved because I just drink the next day and then my hangover's gone. But I'm in charge. But I want to submit to you the fact that you might not be in charge. You might not be in control of alcohol. If you're having these things, I want you to ask yourself, if you could have a fun night and you get sick the next day, is it worth it? And is it worth it to wake up feeling like crap every day? Is it worth it for the alcoholic, like Terry and I, to go for this garbage and literally change the way we feel every single day and literally warp our minds thinking we're okay? Is that a normal way to live? I don't think so. Terry, what are your thoughts on that? And what was it like for you when you were in that endless cycle of always relapsing, always hangover, always drunk?
Oh, life just turned into nothing for me. When I started like everybody else, partying with friends, and that's what the fun was, and everything, going boating, drinking, and doing whatever, going skiing, drinking, doing all sorts of activities and drinking, and that's what I did, and it was so fun. And I did that for decades. I live in the wine country, and I'm a chef, so I really got involved with wineries and actually catering out of wineries and things like that. And it was all fun. What's the first thing you do when you're doing a catering job at a winery? Well, you give the wine tasting people some appetizers, and then they give you wine. It was all fun, and that's what I remembered. And then as the drinking escalated, I had to start to hide it because I didn't want anybody to call me out on it. And then I'd have to quit. So then you have to hide it. And then you realize you're successful at hiding it. So you can drink as much as you want to drink. And then you end up being drunk all the time. And people, you need to stay away from people even more. So you isolate more. And eventually, my life was just isolating because all I wanted to do was be drunk. And that's all I could do. I needed it at that point. I was completely addicted. I had to have the drink. And that's then at that point, that's when alcohol is my life. That's what I needed all the time. That's what I thought about. Every decision I made had to do with, was I going to be able to get alcohol? Was I going to have alcohol? Was there going to be alcohol at wherever I was going to go to? That's what it came down to. It was terrible. And and looking back on it, I realized this. During it, I was like, that's okay. I'm all right. I have my house. I have my dog. I feel good. I'm all right. I'll just have another drink. That was my reality at the time. I felt okay with myself. I'm not living on the street. Those are the types of things that I think. But eventually those consequences kept coming up, and they came up and finally bit me in the butt. And I had to quit. And I mean, I liked it all the way to the very last day. I enjoyed the feeling. That's something it's in me. That's part of alcoholism. That's the way most alcoholics are. They enjoy it. Sometimes, for some people, the alcohol stops working for them, and that wasn't the case with me. It kept working, but eventually, my life just turned into nothing, and that was really what it came down to. The hangovers, they were part of it, sure, but I could cure them with drinking more. So basically, I was constantly hungover. And then when I finally did quit, I was, worst hangover in the world for weeks, But, one thing is a hangover is detoxing. It's your body getting the alcohol out of your system. Your liver's working overtime. Your body's working overtime to get all the chemicals out. That's why you're super tired and you're feeling nauseous, because alcohol affects every cell in your body. So then your body's just reacting, trying to get rid of this poison that's in you. And that's what it is. It's just a hangover is just minor detox. And so I guess it can be dangerous as well, but any detox is dangerous, and it's definitely not good for you. And
Absolutely.
And then you got the social, or the socio, I'm not sure I got the right word, but the other aspect of it is just your daily life. You partied all night and you wake up hungover, you can't do anything, or at least you don't want to do anything. Maybe you have to go to work, so then you go do that, but are you really as productive as you are supposed to be? Probably not. Or if you don't have to go to work, then maybe you want to do some family stuff, but you feel too much like crap to go do family stuff, so you're just going to stay in bed, or go hang out with some friends, and you have to call them and say, nah, I don't think I'm going out today. I'm sick. I've done that lie before. Set up a bicycle ride with somebody and then say, I can't make it. I'm sick. Whatever. No, I'm hungover. That's what it was. Looks like everybody on this call has experienced the hangovers, and some of the stories are pretty awesome. And that's that's what happens.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting too, because one of the things I will never forget that someone told me when I was trying to quit drinking is they said, you never have to feel this way anymore. And I was like, okay, whatever. I don't know what you mean. But it really does come down to that. You don't have to feel this way anymore. You don't have to go through life with hangovers anymore. You don't have to go through life in a fog. You don't have to go through life as an alcoholic anymore. And the key to doing this, like I know someone was saying in the comments, they keep relapsing and they keep relapsing and they just can't get it. And I think the key there is to get a plan. Because what we do is alcoholics are led by feelings. We're very emotional feelings people. We think our feelings are the dictator of our life. And we don't realize that feelings are just chemical impulses in our body and in our mind. That's all they are, right? Like I can make someone feel a certain way by giving them too much coffee. I can make someone scared by freaking them out. And we look at it, and we're literally going through our lives with these buttons that are pushed. And there's certain things in life that'll push our buttons, death of a loved one, argument, something at work, fight with the spouse, a good time, a bad time, whatever it is. And we have these buttons that we push. And when the buttons get pushed by life and we don't have a plan, we're going to go drink. Why? Because it makes us feel better because we don't have to think about it. And sometimes that thought and that feeling is worth the hangover. We're like, yeah, I'm just going to forget about this shit. Tomorrow morning I'll feel like shit, but at least I'll forget about it. And we think it's better, but in the morning, then we get, the shakes. We get the bad feelings. We get the OCD, ruminating thoughts that won't go away. We get the guilt. We get the shame. We get all this stuff, and we don't know what to do. And what's happening is we're living our lives based on how we feel at the moment. And if you do this, you are a slave to your feelings. Okay, now there's some aspect of life where you're always going to be a slave to your feelings. If a bear breaks through my window and comes climbing in bed with me, I don't know why a bear would do that, but hey, it's a pretty crazy year. Anything can happen. But we did have a bear in our backyard. But if he came in there and he's like walking around by my bed, I'm going to be freaked out. My body's going to produce adrenaline like crazy, and I'm going to want to run for the hills, and I'm not going to be able to think about anything else except survival. So what I need to do is I need to realize there's certain things in life that actually warrant it. If a bear comes in your house, yeah, you need all that adrenaline to get the hell away from the bear. But if you have an argument with someone, or your bank account balance goes down, or your stock's having a hit, or whatever it is, or you're furloughed from work, right? These things don't warrant the same response that the bear in the house do. Yet we produce the same emotions. So what we need to do is we need to have a plan for what we're going to do. Yeah, if a bear comes in, my plan is run from the bear, get away, close the door, stop him from doing whatever he does, right? But what about little things in our life? What about the argument that we can't seem to get out of our mind? What about the guilt and the ruminating thoughts? What about the OCD or the ADHD or whatever it is we have that's going on? How do we medicate that? All right, well, we don't medicate it. I mean, obviously, if the doctor says to medicate it, you don't do what the doctor says. He went to school. I didn't go to school. All right, I went a little bit. I got a meatball sub and I got sick. But we look at it and we're like, how can I calm myself without having this drink or this issue? How can I do it? Well, what you need to do is you need to make a plan of action, what you're going to do. You need to create a mindset that you don't have to run from. You need to create a life that you don't have to run from. You need to focus on what you're going to do. Because in the bear example, the only thing that's going to save you is what you do, not what you think. You can't think or feel or will the bear out of the house. You can't do it. But when we have these other things in life, we can decide what to do. That's where the serenity prayer, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I can't change. I can't change the fact that this happened or the bear's in my house or whatever. Give me the courage to change the things I can. What can I do? Get out of the bed and run. What can I do when the boss calls or something bad happens? Well, I can take it calculated. And I can realize that not everything's the end of the world. Alcoholics have this thing called the impending sense of doom. We always think the worst thing's going to happen. We don't sit there and think, oh, well, I lost my job, but there's probably other jobs. We don't think I had a fight with the spouse, but, we'll be okay tomorrow. We think I had a fight with the spouse, our relationship is over, I need to get on the phone with a lawyer, I need to do these things, I need to protect, and we have all this crazy stuff going on, and it's always the end of the world. It always is. For the alcoholic, we're always living at the end of the world. Everything's always crashing down. You can have $10 million in the bank and you're going broke as an alcoholic. I know. Been there, done that. I didn't have 10 million in the bank, but I had a lot. And we have to look at it and say, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to live a life of calm. And we're going to start to be in charge. And we're going to sit here and we're not going to take every emotion as if it's gospel truth. We're going to take it and say, yeah, of course I have that emotion. That's okay. Well, that's feeling its stuff. I'm going to do this, right? And I used to run from sadness and fear and anger. And now I just embrace it as part of life. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm a little angry today. That's okay. Yeah, it's pretty normal. You know, the guy was a dick, so obviously I'm going to be a little angry. Or I got in a fight with the spouse. Yeah, I'm going to be a little on edge. Or business isn't going as good as it should. Yeah, I'm going to be a little worried. But I don't let it eat me up like it used to when I drank. And I certainly don't have to deal with hangovers the next day where the impending sense of doom kicks in again. And life is miserable again. And I start the same Groundhog Day every day, over and over and over, not knowing that my baseline feelings are in the shitter every single day. I wake up and I lose when I drink. I wake up negative. I wake up not feeling good. I wake up with the OCD and the guilt and the fear and the shame and just not even wanting to be alive anymore. And that's what hangovers were like for me. I never called them hangovers because as a drunk, you're never hungover because you never quit drinking. And it eats you from the inside out.
Yep.
And it changes your mindset. And I would never wish what I went through on anyone in the world. I would never, ever say, yeah, I wish that on them because it's horrible. It is literally like living through hell. And we wake up the next day and we say, man, yesterday was hell. I think I'll have another glass of hell today. And I remember one time in an alcohol meeting, they said, you know, church is for people who don't want to go to hell. Recovery is for people who've gone to hell and don't want to go back.
Yep.
And that's exactly what it was like for me. I think someone said they asked you to wish someone well in their sobriety. Let's see, who was it? And they specifically asked for Terry there. So let's see here. Where did it go?
I didn't see it.
Pamela or something. Let me find it for you. Pamela.
I see lots of people wanting meatballs for breakfast and lunch. And I'm probably going to have meatballs tomorrow. I already have chicken thawed out for tonight. So.
Yeah, me too. Teriyaki chicken tonight. There we go. Lee says, hi, Terry. Would you mind wishing my friend Pamela Sue good luck in her sobriety?
Well, good luck, and Pamela. Is Pamela here? Oh, but whatever. I wish Pamela a long and slow recovery. That's what I heard before. Is a nice, slow, long recovery. We're in this for the long haul. This is awesome. You know, what was I going to say about what you were talking about? The plan, and then a design for life. Sobriety for me is a design for life and how to deal with life. And the hangover is just, you know, when I was drinking and having the hangovers, I had lots of plans. I had all those plans to do stuff, but I never did them because I had to cure the hangover or feel better, or I had to hide the emotion or something like that. You know, I would just, the drinking would just, that would dominate everything. And I couldn't make plans. I tried, so I'd make them, but they'd never pan out. I never did anything. I just sat in my chair, watched Dr. Phil. I say that all the time. But hey, good job on your bike ride, Derek. I rode, just a side note, I rode stage 5 of the Zwift Tour de France yesterday. It was a climb. It was a mountain climb, 5,000 feet of climbing in 15 miles. It was pretty fun. Anyways, I digress. It was fun. But you know, that plan, the plan and the way of living for sobriety for me, it's super important. If I was to just not drink, I don't know that I'd be sober today if I didn't have a plan that I live through life and experience emotions. Last Friday, I know I've talked about my dog. I finally had to put him down on Friday, and it was super emotional, and it was tough. But if I was drinking, I'd still be drunk, definitely. Well, I didn't stop drinking when I was drinking at any time, but I'd be trying to push those emotions down, and instead of pushing the emotions down, I can experience them now. And the emotions come up. It's part of a grieving process when somebody's been in your life for 14 years, whether it's a dog or a person, for whatever. There's a grieving process that is necessary for us to go through. And it's this is what sobriety is all about. I'm thankful. I'm able to look back and be thankful on his life and be thankful that I didn't have to work through those last couple of weeks of him convalescing and then deciding what to do, and I could make the right decisions at the right time, and I don't have to look back on it now and say, I wish I did this and I wish I did that. We did what we needed to do, and yes, it was emotional, and yes, it was difficult, but we did what we needed to do, and I don't look back with any guilt or anything like that. And so, that's what sobriety gives us. It gives us a way of living where we live in a good way. And hopefully, I don't make all the right decisions all the time. Definitely not. But hopefully, I make more right decisions than I used to. I think I do. But it's that way of life. It's sobriety's awesome.
Absolutely. Agopolis says, I'm going to be president of the United States of America. Wait, I need to run down to the 7-Eleven to get a quick fix. That's exactly how recovery was,
Yeah.
or non-recovery, how alcoholism was for me. I had this
Right.
notebook of wisdom, and I'd carry it everywhere, and I'd be like, if I get these crazy thoughts. And then I started reading these notebooks sober, and I was like, what a dumbass. Like, there was nothing epiphany. I didn't do anything, right? It was like, I'm going to be president, my thoughts or whatever. But drinking kept me stuck. And now that I'm sober, I can pursue things and I can do what I want. And we look at that and we're like, wow, this gives us a complete new life. Like, sobriety isn't just about not drinking. It's about getting the life that we really, really wanted. It's about getting the life that we don't have to run for. And sometimes it's a secret. Sometimes the secret is in the fact that you didn't really want what you wanted all along. Right? I found out in sobriety that, like, a lot of the things that I wanted drunk, I don't really want. I just want a calm life. I want to be okay. I want to impact people's lives. I want to help people. I want to help myself. And I don't want to wake up hungover. And I don't want everything to be the end of the world. And having this shift was a game changer, because now I can look at it and be like, wow, I can actually be okay. And I don't have to break my neck trying to get everything done. And I don't have these crazy pie in the sky goals. I just go through and I live. And sometimes, like, the goals are better. Like, I meet them unexpectedly now. I'm like, hey, you know what? Now that I'm sober, I actually get shit done. That's pretty good, you know? Before, when I was drinking, I was like, I got to fix all this stuff right now. Right now. And I never did.
Right.
I just drank. And then it was like, yeah, you know, your house is falling apart because you didn't fix anything. Now I'm like, hey, yeah, the 2x4 is busted. Let's fix that old 2x4. And I can get on a ladder without worrying about falling off because I'm drunk. Or I could get on a ladder without a beer in my hand. Like, literally, I would take a beer in the shower. I'd take a drink in the wherever. I'd have wine by my bedside. I'd have vodka under the bed for, you know, when I woke up. I'd have webinars. Like, I do a business where we do live trainings a couple times a week. And, you know, you have hundreds of people come on. And I remember I would sell something and I'd be like, holy shit, we made a bunch of money. And then I have to wake up in the morning with my hungover, feeling like shit, and be like, what the hell did I sell people last night? You know? Luckily, I kind of managed it. It was okay. But it was crazy because I didn't watch what I said. I didn't focus on life. I didn't live calm. I wasn't able to sit and say, you know what? I'm going to be okay today. And if this quarantine stuff would have happened when I was drinking, God help us all. I probably would have flipped out. I probably would have gone down the conspiracy trap rabbit hole junk. And I would have believed things. Why? Because I didn't have the ability to think rationally. Alcoholics can't think rationally. Why? Because we're to base level desires, base level stuff. I want food. I want this. I want that. You pissed me off. We need to throw blows. We need to get in a fight because you pissed me off. And this is the way the alcoholic lives, and it's hell. And it's hell. And I probably would have gotten my face punched in numerous times at bars if I wasn't funny. Right? Luckily, my wife would be like, yeah, this guy was ready to kick your ass. But then you had him laughing. And I'm like, thank God I'm funny because I can't fight. I suck at fighting. And we look at it and it's like, God brought me through that, or whatever you believe in brought you through that. I don't know what God is, but whatever it is brought me through that. And I'm thankful for that. And I'm thankful that I don't have to feel that way anymore. And I'm thankful that I can live life sober, that I don't go to marketing conferences and drink at 9 a.m. There was I started a drinking club. We'd have these people and we'd get up and we'd go straight to the pool bar at 9 a.m. And we'd show up at every marketing meeting totally plastered. We thought it was fun, but we felt like shit. And we weren't getting anything done. And we were probably looked at as the asshats of the convention because we were the asshats. And it affected our life so negatively, and living in a constant state of hangover is no way to live.
Yep. You know, a bunch of you are talking about, you know, when your liquor stores close in whatever country, Norway and Canada and all that. And that didn't matter for me. Did not matter when the places closed. You know, here in California, you're not allowed to get alcohol between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m., but the liquor store near me closed at 9. So, you know, just stock up. I mean, geez, alcohol was my top priority. That was not a factor at all. Derek, you were saying Marcus is right. Can anyone imagine drinking during this COVID? Yeah, I mean, I know quite a few people that were sober that started drinking during this stuff, and it's tough. Some of them have gone back to being sober, and their stories haven't heard one good story yet about when they started drinking. Every one of them is just like, yeah, it was hell. It was terrible. And you know, there's a lot of people that I used to see every day, and I don't see them anymore. I do a lot of Zoom meetings, so I would expect that I would see a bunch of them, but I don't see them anymore. Don't know where they are. Don't know what's going on. That's kind of a good indicator as to whether a person started drinking again. But it's tough, man. And go ahead. Sorry.
That was one of the things that, you know, is my passion for our channel and what we do at talksober.com is really, I want to end the revolving door of relapse. I don't think it's something everyone needs to go through. I don't think we need to continue to fail and continue to get back up and continue to fail. I think we can find a better way. And in the Talk Sober letters that you can get over at talksober.com as part of our online recovery class, you just go to talksober.com, click the big yellow button. It'll take you to this page, fill it out. You'll get instant access to it. And it's less than the cost of a cheap beer a day. And I'm talking like a Bud Light 55, you know, that's not even real alcohol. Well, it is, but, you know, it tastes like shit, by the way. By the way, that was not endorsed or anything by the corporation of Bud Light. We apologize if you do not like the drink. Right, there you go. That's my legal disclaimer there. But we have to go through, we have to look at it, and it's cheaper than that. You know, you go through, you get all the tools you need. Even if you've been sober a while, I think it'll help you with a mindset. If you're just now getting sober, or if you're in that constant state of detox and withdrawal and everything, go to the doctor for your detox and go over to talksober.com to get the letters and videos that are going to walk you through it. And these are different than anything else. A lot of recovery stuff, it's like a how-to kind of deal. This isn't really how-to. There is some how-to in there, but it's more focused on getting you the mindsets that brought me where I'm at. Because I think the mindsets are everything, right? If you can have the epiphanies and the aha moments in your sobriety, I think you can have long-lasting sobriety. But you have to have them in a certain way. And that's how I wrote what's going to be my book, those letters. I wrote them with the idea of putting a seed thought in your mind. And then you go through your day, right? You go through one a day, or day one, go through your day. And those words are going to go with you. and you'll remember them. And when things happen in your life, you'll go, oh, wait a minute. I remember Marcus talked about that. Okay, I get it now. And you'll start to understand things in a very, very different way. So I would highly urge everyone who likes this channel, who's trying to get sober, or who's been sober for a while, or maybe been sober a couple years, and you just want a different perspective, to go to talksober.com, click on that yellow button, sign up, help support what we're doing, and also get all the tools that you need to help you get and stay sober.
Yeah. Hey, there was a couple that I wanted to address here. David, you said, I think I will need to see a therapist as well to help me with my life issues. And you know what, David? For me, I did everything I possibly could. So if you think you need to see a therapist, the thing is, you need to do it. And that's what held me back in a lot of my sobriety, is I felt I needed to do a lot of stuff and I didn't do it. The other thing is with that is, for a therapist, I've seen a therapist before and I lied my ass off. So it didn't do me any good. So it's just important that and I'm sure you realize that, but you just got to be totally honest and totally straightforward. And then I have a lot of friends that have used therapists and they've helped them a lot, only after they decided to get honest with them. But another one, Minnie Jerez said, this is a different topic, but I play in a rock band in a tourist ski town for a living. Hardest thing was playing sober while everyone partied and having a great time, and having people bring you shots all the time. Absolutely. But it sounds like you're able to stay sober. I have quite a few friends that are musicians that are sober, and they're able to stay sober as well. And they just work program. Usually they have somebody else that's sober with them. They're not just the only sober person there, and that helps them a lot. Or at least they have somebody that maybe only drinks one or two or whatever, and they're able to support them in that way, and that helps them a ton as well. But lots of friends that also play in those bands, and I know what you're saying. I don't play in a band, but I've been to bars where people are buying me drinks and stuff, and just turn them away. And it's hard when that's your source of income. I'm able to say, nah, I don't think I'll go to the bar tonight. But if that's your source of income, you kind of don't have a choice. But one of the tricks I use is I definitely have a drink that I like that's non-alcoholic. That's kind of a special when I go out. And I mean, it's not one specific one, but I make sure that that I can have something special, not just drink tap water. Drink a 7-Up with a splash of cranberry in there, or something like that, or whatever. Something that's going to taste good, and that's just kind of steers me away from the thought of drinking. So that helps a lot.
Absolutely. And I wanted to touch a little bit on the therapy thing too, because I have a little bit different take on therapy. One, if you're going to your therapist and you're still drinking, you're healing a broken mind. Mm-hmm. And healing a broken mind is never going to work because you started from a place of brokenness. The second thing about therapy, for me personally, and I think therapy is a great tool, but again, it's a tool. It's a tool. If you have a hammer in your woodshed, it's not going to do anything unless you use it, and it's not going to build the whole house, right? It's just going to be a tool that you use. One thing that I find with therapy is that it focuses on content of mind. So you're talking about the content. This guy pissed me off. I feel this way. I'm thinking about this. I'm that. And I think focusing on the content of mind keeps us stuck in some areas because you're focusing on the issue at hand. Like you go to therapy and you talk about your week and here's what I'm dealing with and here's the root issues and here's that. Instead of looking at the working of the mind, I think understanding the working of your mind is the most important thing for an alcoholic. And if you can understand the working of your mind, my mind works this way. It's over anxious. It's hyperactive. It goes towards the bad. It's this way. If you can understand the way your mind works, and that's just the way you've been programmed, then you could sit back and relax and say, well, I don't need to get hung up on every little piece of content. Maybe the content of your mind, maybe the working of your mind is led toward gossip, right? You go to the South, and that's the way the lines work, right? It's all about gossip. You go to church, and then, did you see what Pauline was wearing last night? And they gossip their asses off. And we go there. I think everyone does that, not just the South. But that's the working of the mind. Your mind is programmed to think that way. It's always going to think that way. Even when you go to a million therapies, it's still going to be gravitated like a magnet towards the juicy gossip stuff, or towards the impending sense of doom, or the worry, or the OCD. Now that I know my mind works that way, I don't have to take the content seriously. I can look at it because the content's going to get shoved into that cycle of the way your mind works. And you're going to take it serious and say, no, Marcus, you're wrong. It's about the argument I had. No. It's about the way your mind processes the argument. It's about the way your mind works. And if you understand that, then you say, well, yeah, my mind's going a little crazy about this thing. It's just doing its thing. That's what it does. Cars go. My mind does this. That's the way it works. You pour water on a hill, it's going to take one path. It's going to take the path of least resistance. And the way your mind works is it's going to go down the path of least resistance. The only way to combat that is to give it a new path. And the new path is by understanding the old path exists. Because we're like moths to a flame saying, oh shit, went down that path again. Of course you did. That's what you do. I picked up the drink again. Of course you did. That's what alcoholics do. That's the working of your mind. And if you understand that, everything starts to change. Because I no longer have to be a slave to the way my mind works. I no longer have to say, what's wrong with me because I have OCD? No, I just have OCD. Big shit. So I check the door 5 times. I know I shut everything off and I got to shut it off again. There's Marcus being a jackass again. That's what he does. It's the working of the mind. I don't have to take it seriously. I don't have to wonder what's wrong with me. And guess what? As if by some miracle, when I realize it's just the working of my mind, it starts to disappear. It starts to go away. And the only thing that's going to fuck up your working of your mind is alcohol. You want to screw it up? Drink. That'll warp your mind. Because that's something we can't control. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. I can't change what alcohol does to me when I drink it. Not one beer, not one cocktail, not a half a drink, not only drinking at night, not only drinking in the day, not only drinking at the restaurant. Whenever I ingest alcohol, I can't control the working or the content of my mind. And that scares the shit out of me. Because I don't know what I'm going to do next. I don't know how I'm going to feel. I don't know what's going to happen. But if I know, that's the content. People get on themselves. Oh, Marcus, why do I have cravings? What's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. You have cravings because you had alcohol. Pretty simple. It'd be like getting mad at yourself because you're hungry. God damn it, why am I hungry? You're hungry because you need to eat. It's the working of the mind. It says, oh, I'm hungry, I need to eat. Some people have overactive ones that say they need to eat 5 pies. Some people have ones that say, I shouldn't eat that much. It's all the working of the mind, and we need to stop taking the content seriously. It's like going to someone who is an overeater and has an overeat problem and telling them it's about the pie. Overeating problem's not about the pie. It's about the working of the mind.
Right.
Gotta understand that.
Yeah. It's all about acceptance. I've accepted the fact that I can't drink. One drink is going to lead me to insanity. It may not right away, but it will eventually. So, but I've learned that there's another way, and that's serenity prayer. I can change things. I can't change the fact that I'm an alcoholic, but I can change what I can do next, and that's living a sober life, not taking that first drink, and it's that simple, really. And helps me immensely. The Sinclair method. Did we talk about the Sinclair method? It's been mentioned.
We have a little bit, yeah. I mean, some people do have success with it. I don't know a whole lot about it. What I've studied about it, it seems like it's about the issue. Like, let's stop this issue. Like, let's try to shortcut sobriety. Which, I mean, to each his own. Personally, for me, I tried methods like the Sinclair method when I was trying to get sober, and they didn't work for me because it wasn't tackling the bigger issue, right? If you think alcohol is the only problem, it's probably not. I mean, it's a big problem. It is the biggest one you need to fix right now. But if you're finding a way where you can, maybe keep drinking, I think you're missing the point of sobriety, right? It's the difference that me and Terry talk about all the time, where it's like there's the drunk who's mad that he can't drink, and then there's the drunk that's happy that he's sober. I want to be the drunk that's happy that I'm sober.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the one that's pissed off and saying, oh, man, I wish I could drink with the boys, and I wish I could have the drinks and whatever, right? I don't want to be that person, because that person relapses. Everyone you see relapse, they're probably mad that they can't drink. And you look at it and it's like, okay, it's either they're mad that they can't drink or they don't have a better option. I don't want some kind of pill, which is what the Sinclair method is about. It's a pill that makes you not like drinking. I get the idea behind it. It makes sense. But I think you're going to be in trouble if you rely on something else to get you sober, other than understanding why you're drunk in the first place.
Yeah, maybe the Sinclair method. If it is a pill, I don't know the program, so I can't really speak from knowledge about it. But if it is just a pill, doing something else as well. But that's what I did when I get sober. Not the Sinclair method, but I did everything I possibly could to get sober. And the key, I think, with whatever method, whatever you decide on how you're going to get sober and stay sober, you have to do it 100% without reservation. You got to do it all the way. It's got to come from your heart. You have to want it deep down. And you do that, then you have a chance of staying sober.
Yeah, and I think, it's important to realize that there's so much going on for the alcoholic, some seen, some not seen. And when we look at some, because the idea behind the Sinclair method, as per my understanding, is the pill makes you sick when you drink. So you take your pill, you go out drinking, and you don't feel good when you drink. Okay, if that worked, every alcoholic would not be an alcoholic. Because guess what? We all freaking get sick when we drink. And that's what this whole talk has been about today is, why is the hangover not enough to get us sober? I mean, I've had thousands of hangovers. I drank through them, but I had thousands of hangovers. You would think that the motivation of getting sick would be enough. And here's the deal. For an alcoholic and an addict that's dependent on a chemical or alcohol, which is also a chemical, it don't matter. You give me a pill that's supposed to be the miracle, I'll drink my ass through it. And I've seen this happen. My brother was like, I'm doing this method, I'm going to do it. He drunk his ass off and he got sick. And he's like, I don't fucking care because I want to drink. And we need to focus on these things in our mind, and we need to focus on these things in our life. And I think it's very, very important. Now, if the Sinclair method works for you, more power to you. That's cool. If I don't care if the rain dance works for you, go do the rain dance. You could do a lot of rain dance here in Florida because it rains all the damn time. But we got to understand what's going on. And like David says, naltrexone makes you want to puke your guts out when you drink. Apparently, it rewires your brain off the drink. That's the idea. The idea is you get sick, therefore you won't want to drink. It's like the meatball sub. Only the meatball sub worked as a meatball sub, but it didn't work as drinking. I kept wanting to drink. And an alcoholic will find a way to drink unless they make a plan. Very important. Okay?
Yeah.
Very important to look at.
Tardigrade, you said you know why you drink, you just don't know how to stop. That's the biggest problem with us alcoholics. Yeah, a lot of us know why, and we don't know how to stop. Keep seeing us here. Join our Facebook group. But the first thing you need to do is go to a doctor and be honest with them. And just in case you're going to detox, it's what you got to do. And that's what I did, and it saved my life. And then I just took it like everybody says, one day at a time. Just didn't plan to try not to drink today.
Yep. And I think Western culture focuses too much on a quick fix instead of looking at the real issue. we're kind of junkies for a quick fix. I got this brain condition. What can I take, or whatever? I have OCD. What can I take? I have anxiety. What can I take? Obviously, listen to your doctor. Obviously, follow what they say. I did. I still do. I do question, though, like if the doctor's like, hey, take this for your asthma, and it's something that I know I can get addicted to, I ask him, is there an option? Is there something else I can do? And he usually says yes. But instead of looking at the quick fix, I think a lot of our stuff can be solved by understanding where things are at. Like if you have social anxiety, I think that's a problem of the way you interpret society. I don't think it's a problem that, it's just something with you. I think it's a life philosophy. Like if you get a new life philosophy and a different outlook on life, you can stay sober. And that's what it's about. Do you want to be better, or do you want to just think you're better? Right? I want to be better. I want my life to change. I want to have a new outlook and a new understanding. And with that comes so many rewards, it's not even funny. And if we try to shortcut it, I think we miss what a lot of recovery people talk about as the, what do they call it? The miracle, or the some awakening or something, right? They call it something.
Spiritual awakening?
That, they have a different word for it. I remember it was described a different way. But you don't have that because you didn't do the work to get to it. You got to do the work to get to it. You got to make a plan for what are you going to do instead of drinking. What are you going to do? How are you going to live a new life? And that's really what we focus on.
Yep. Yeah, lots of talks about the medicines and all that, but alcoholism's a mental disease, and a lot of these medicines are working on the physical aspect, making you throw up, things like that. So that's, maybe they help, but I really think that something else has to be done as well. You can't just go with that.
I agree.
So, anyways, right on.
All right, cool. So we are at the top of the hour. If you do want to get our course and start to understand the things that got us sober and help us stay sober today, go over to talksober.com, click the big yellow button, support the channel here. Your proceeds go to supporting the channel and getting new microphones, and hopefully one day we could do this full time and reach other people. You'll get 30 days of letters, audios, videos, and all kinds of stuff. And if you like what we're doing here, definitely check that out. Also, there's a link on talksober.com to our Facebook group where you can reach out to other struggling alcoholics and recovered alcoholics, and Terry and I are in there as well. You can go in there as well and check that out. So thanks for being here. Give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it, and we'll see you guys next week, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific Time, and for the rest of you, Google it. And we'll see you next time. Stay sober.